I always do that, but this week is actually really important because the song you hear, like playing in this intro, Talks with T, is an original that I wrote with Carson a year ago, and this Sunday will be a year of Couldn't Keep Warm. He will put up the picture of Couldn't We Keep Warm, stream it on all platforms. It is actually so funny because I wrote the song about coffee because I was craving coffee, but I metaphorically used it about love. So definitely have a cup of coffee when you listen to it. But this Sunday will be a year. I'm so proud of that song. It is one of my top 3 that I've ever written. And yeah, so that's one news. Now, welcome to Talks with T. This week, a lot has happened. Like a lot of pain has happened. One being, I just removed my wisdom tooth and it hurts. And it's like, that's fun. And then 2, I come from a Russian background and I have pale skin, and this is what happens when you go in the sun. It's so bad. It actually looked worse, but now this is healing. My tooth is healing. My mouth is healing. But I was like, what am I going to talk about for this week? And then I was like in my car and I was like, oh my God, healing. Hello. Just everything about me right now is healing. So I wanted to talk about that topic because I think that there's some people that don't understand the process of it, or think that, specifically, like, for example, the way I was raised, I wasn't really taught to feel. I was taught to like just keep going, and almost like avoid the reality of what you're feeling. And then a lot of that has come up now where I'm like kind of reevaluating all the things that I kind of pushed aside and kind of healing that now. A lot of traumas, a lot of just like the way I, was brought up, thinking, all of that. And no one really talks about, the one thing that no one really talks about is specifically that with healing, it doesn't mean that you're going to be on the, just hysterical crying all the time. Like, you're not like, you're going to have those moments. Yeah. But I think that when you associate healing, you associate someone who's consistently just like depressed, sad, and like shows it. But that's not true, especially because like a lot of people through hard times have told me, oh, you look so put together, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean that, I don't have my moments. I just carry it well. And that's a daily thing that I have to do. I remember saying, like, in my last podcast, I talk about how sometimes, life doesn't give you the opportunity to just stop. Like, it keeps going. And so that was something that was important to me, was you got to keep going. And I still process that. I'm still in that process of healing. I'm in the process of consistently going through, these roller coaster of emotions, and that's okay. Especially this season, I talk about it with some people, but I've talked about it in previous podcasts. When I moved to LA, I never actually had time to grasp what was happening. Like all the things, because everything was like 1, 2, 3. And like Carson obviously has been there through it all, like seen all those emotions. But like for a good 6 months, I wasn't processing anything. I was just in grinding mode. I was in this moment of like, I have to figure this all out, because I really just got in the car and drove to LA with nothing. And it was when everything was finally like settled down, I finally started feeling. I started feeling these emotions. I was constantly like just like moments of just crying or moments of just like anger, and a lot of things also. Like this 2024 is just an interesting year. And it's only what is it? Oh, we're in April. We're in April. I forget the days. But it's just a roller coaster of emotions. And I think that someone once told me, like, you need to just be still. I was like, what the hell does that even mean? Like me still, like I'm a freaking firecracker. Like I'm a squirrel. Like I'm constantly on the move. Like me being still is like weird. We have a joke that like when I see a couch and I lay down on the couch, I knock out in 2 seconds because I'm not used to just like laying down and chilling. That's just not what I do. And so why that was so important was because the person that told me that was like, you need to heal from like all the things that, it's not just 1, 2, 3 and you forget. Like you were going through so much and you were pushing it away, and now is your time to just be still. And that's like scary for me because I'm an overthinker, and when I get into these thoughts, like I'm constantly like it's a scary thing for me. It's scary to heal because you have to take account of all the things that are happening and actually process that. And I think that's what scares a lot of people, is processing the pain, processing the frustration, the anger, whatever it is, whatever you're healing from. And I think people assume that healing is like from something traumatic, but it could be something so small that you just process in a different way. And that's okay. But you have to let yourself deal with that, because what I've noticed is when I wasn't dealing with that, it was just skyrocketing. I was like just constantly skyrocketing, and I would find myself taking it out on people or like having these insecurities because I wasn't actually sitting down and dealing them by myself. I wasn't giving myself that love. I wasn't giving myself that respect. And I was just trying to push away the reality and just like keep going, keep going, keep going. And I think that for someone, to deal with that, they have to actually be in it. They have to just be still. And it's something that I'm still processing because that's hard for me. It's hard especially when you were taught to just, don't feel, just keep going. But grief is grief and healing is a part of the process of life. I'm not saying like just, there's a balance of keep going and also accepting what life is bringing you. And you have to be able to do that as well. I always say like, I'll have my moments where like, I'm not kidding, I will like cry in the car. And then I'm like, all right, time to go out. It's time to like, we're back. I have those moments. Whereas before I used to like just push it aside. Like I wouldn't even I looked at crying as weak. Like I even by myself, like it was just very like, because that meant reality. That meant a thing of actually feeling what you were feeling. And I didn't want to even feel that within myself. Everyone's process is going to be different. And one thing that through my process I've learned is like, it's okay to feel empty when you're in the process of being whole again. And that's different for everyone. I think that right now in this season, like I'm like numb to a lot of things. And I kind of would like beat myself up for that. Like, well, why do I feel this like numbness? And I realized I was like, it's not going to always be this like energy or this like emotion. Like sometimes you just feel empty. And that's okay, because when you're going through something, sometimes you have to, for you to be able to transform into something else, like you have to hit rock bottom. There's only moving forward. Like you can only move forward after that. That's again, different for everyone. You're not going to feel, I think everyone wants to put in specifically what you should feel, or this is like put you in a box of like what this is, but it's different for everyone. And you're not always going to have the luxury of having one pinpointed emotion. Like you're just going to constantly feel so many different things, and that's okay. I also learned through like this process is like people too matter. People really do value, like the people you have in your life, it's such a big deal. Because the people that I've been very blessed to have in my life, especially during this season, have pushed me, even though I've just been, going through it. I've had people like Carson, you're one of them. Oh my God, my tooth. But I have people, like, he sees me every day, so that he's got to deal with all those emotions. But I've had people that just have constantly supported and built me up and reminded me of who I was. Because that's another thing, when you're healing, sometimes you forget. I actually was at an event. I was at an event for work, and someone looked at me and we were just like talking, and he was like, "You don't forget who you are." I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, who the hell? But like, I needed to hear that, because I was like, oh my God, you're so right. like we forget, because we let this emotion, like the healing, the grief, the all of it, like, get to us. And we have to be able to still balance both. And it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to feel. You should feel. You should have those moments of where you're literally just like hysterical crying, screaming. Like, Carson has seen me throw like a book at our freaking curtain thingy and I broke it, because I was just so frustrated. I was so angry, and I couldn't pinpoint, like, when is that? Like, I don't like that feeling, but life is going to give you those things consistently, even like no matter what, if the change is good or bad. I was grieving things from my past. Like, I was grieving the life I had. I was grieving the people I had. And I had to realize, like, that's okay. Because that part of me was like, why? I felt kind of guilty for even feeling that way. I was like, well, I have this. God is blessing me with this. I have provision. I've been given, I came here with nothing, and you made something. You gave me like so much favor. Why am and I felt so guilty for a little bit of like, I don't, like, if I don't think about this, I won't have to feel that way. And it's okay to feel that, because we're human and we have these emotions and we have these feelings. And even like, there was even a point where I was like, well, this person's going through something way worse. Like, how do I have the right to feel this way? And again, you are your own person. You are your own story, and you're going to feel and go through things, even if it may not be worse than what someone else is going through. Like, it's still your life, and it's okay to feel that. And I had to really, I'm still healing. I'm still like figuring it out. I'm still dealing with things. I'm still trying to understand. And through that whole process, just like a freaking wisdom tooth and this bruise that God forbid, like, I'm like praying, when is this gonna go away? Because people be looking at me crazy. But it's time. It takes time. And my grandma has a saying that she used to always say to me. It's time is the best form. Like, time is like a doctor. It heals. And I remember hearing that, and now I'm just like constantly replaying that. Like, let time be your best friend. Because I really rushed time. I really would be like, oh, I need to be here. I need to do this. I need to have this. I need to feel this right here. I need to be able, like, but time heals no matter what that is. You want to be, you compare with time, like, well, this person has this, like, when is my time going to come? And you have to just trust that it's going to happen, because each day is a day that you're learning, you're growing, you're becoming you. And I was also taught, like, how can you get to point B if at point A you're not even at your best? And each day is that process of like, well, if I feel this way right now and I was given this now, I might not handle it well. I might not actually do the things I meant to do with this if it was given to me now. So that's why you have to accept the feelings you're feeling. You have to accept the situations. You have to accept what life is throwing at you and keep going, but taking accountability and using that to grow. Because when something is the next thing that's going to be thrown at you, you're going to be able to handle that so much better. You're going to be able to look at it in different things. And you also have to look at the situations being thrown at you, not as like, why, but reevaluate how you think and your mindset and be like, I don't know why, but I know this is going to be used for something, even if I don't know why now. Because everything is used, every emotion, every feeling, every lesson, trial, error, like people in your life. I don't think people come into your life for a coincidence, like out of nowhere, like for no reason. I don't believe that. We're always used, and sometimes people are even used to find your healing, find who you are. And so I just urge like whoever's watching, like it's okay to feel. It's scary. But I think our society like kind of puts this like it's like two ways. Like I see people like feel like do like find your inner peace, and then see people that are like no, like keep grinding and hustling, and like there's no balance because there should be both, because you're not a robot. You know, one of my friends also, Nikki James, said, "You're a human being before you're a human doer." And you know, I think I just worded that so wrong, but it was so good. It was you're a human being before you're a human doing. And it's true, because if you can't be like, if you can't be real with yourself, how do you expect to do and pour out love for others as well? How do you expect to be there for people, love people, if you don't even love yourself? If you can't even be the being for yourself, you have to be that for you first, for you to be able to pour out into other people. Because whatever you pour out into other people is going to be your insecurities, your pain, your life, all of it. So you have to figure it out within yourself first before you go out there and try to do that with other people. Because that's another thing. You are accountable for how you act and treat to other people. I've said this in the past, like hurt people hurt others. That's so true. Because if you're hurt and you're not dealing with it, you're just going to lash out on everyone else. And so remember that before anything, you are a human being before you are a human doing. And you have to make sure that you take care of yourself, regardless of what people expect of you, because you will never be able to give or do the things you're meant to do if you're not taking care of yourself first. And that means dealing with the feelings, dealing with the emotions, dealing with the things that you don't want to deal with. Some people do, like, again, me, like I don't want to deal with some things because that's like, again, accountability or actually accepting certain things that it could be scary to accept. But that's where you have to come in, is like, do I want to stay in this box or do I want to keep going? It's calling for comfort. And if you're comfortable with being that way, and just like, it'll catch up to you. It really will. It might not happen now, but I definitely think, like, I've seen a lot of people in my life that they think they are good. And then it's like years later, they're dealing with this thing. You don't want to be 50, like I'm 23. Like I can't sit here and say like I've seen this world, like, but like you don't want to be 55 dealing with things that you didn't heal from at 20, because you know what? That's so much harder. It is like a different mind space. You want to, and if you are 55 watching this and you're dealing with it, deal with it. It's not going to get any better, so you might as well deal with it. Like, you have to take account of that, because there's so much more. And healing takes time. And it's not something that I think people also get confused, because you get frustrated with the fact of like, why do I still feel this way? Like, I dealt with that. Like, take my I had daddy issues. I have certain tics to me that like I've definitely healed from that, but that's not just something like one and done. Like there's going to be moments where that might come back, but because I've actually taken account of those feelings, I now know how to deal with that in the future. There's things that, one of them being like my worth and like insecurities. Like when I went to Berkeley, I was really dealing with imposter syndrome. I was dealing with, everyone around you is like dieting, looking a certain way. Like like people be fixing all these insecurities. So that makes you even more insecure. So I dealt with that in college. I was like trying to find my worth. I actually made a song about it. Go check it out. It's called Worth. And it literally talks about my process of like, the beginning of the song is like how I felt broken, all this, and then finding my worth towards the end of my college career. Oh my God, I'm like literally, it's the wisdom tooth. I can't think, but towards the end of like my college life, I literally finally found that. And I thought, yay, I found it. No, what happens? I moved to LA and it's 10 times worse, because you're surrounded by so much more. And that's okay. Like you have to, it's not this like destination. It's a consistent journey. It's a consistent process. It's gonna come through. Life is like short, but life is also long in a sense. Like you're gonna constantly have these days where you're feeling insecure, and you have to kind of renew your minds in a way of thinking the way that would better you. Because when you're healing, you start to feel like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is why I feel this way. This is that. And it is not something that's just going to go away magically. It's not like this like freaking math problem that you figured it out. No. Because every day life is throwing something at you, and you will find yourself consistently going through, whether maybe you did conquer it, but you know what? Maybe it'll come back. And regardless of that, that's why I say you have to take account of the things that you're feeling and deal with them, so that next time you know how to go through that. And I beat myself up because I'm like, oh, like, why do I wake up sometimes, I'm like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? And I have to remember, like, it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes it's not even, you can't explain why you feel that way. You just do. And you have to do what you can in that day, in that moment. What can I do? How can I grow? What do I need to think of? What do I need to back away from right now? Because that's another thing. When you're healing, you're going to really see yourself cutting people off, cutting things off. And that's also okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation to heal yourself, to be better for yourself. Because like I said, to be able to give to people, you need to be able to give for yourself and find that within you. So, how much time do we have? I always ask this. Oh, Carson, you're so kind. Are you healing too? Carson's healing too. We all just healing. We're all just in this cycle. It's okay. It gets better. That's what I heard. So, but yeah, so I just want to leave that off. Hopefully time heals this pretty quick in my tooth, because you know that's not fun. But just like that ain't fun, keeping the same trauma ain't fun either. So definitely deal with that. But I'm very thankful again for the people that have been there for me and consistently pour their love into me while I'm not at my best sometimes. That constantly will give me those encouragements and give me those times, because the people you surround yourself really do matter, because they're going to change the way you think. They're going to actually, you know, they're going to be the ones that you're not meant to do life alone, even when you feel alone. And there's going to be simple things like I have a friend that is going through it, and sometimes I don't even know what to say. I've like said it, I was like, I don't even know what to say. But just sitting there, like, something you have to understand is presence has no price. And so sometimes just sitting there, I don't need you to tell me anything. I don't need to have your opinion. I don't need to have anything, and vice versa. Some people don't need your opinion. They don't need your advice. They just need you to sit with them. They need you to be there. And that's something that I think that I've been very thankful for, to have people like that in my life while I go through certain parts of hardship. And so, yeah, take accountability for your emotions, your struggles. There's always room to grow. I say this every time I do a podcast, because I feel like it's something important, is like, you're not just stuck. You're not just there. You have to change the way you think of like, this is it. This is absolutely not. There's always room to grow. There's always room to be better. And part of that is taking account of who you are and consistently changing that to be better. And if you don't, you're in this box. And that's just not comfort is not something that we're meant to have. We're meant to go out there and do the things that make us uncomfortable, because there's beauty in that. But you can't do that unless you actually take account of what is hurting you, and there's strength to that. So go do it. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching Talks with T. Go listen to Couldn't Keep Warm and all my other songs.